what's a good method to consider stakeholder opinion when determining value?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I have a strong opinion about this, and that is that it's important to understand stakeholder opinions, to incorporate them, because A, you don't know everything, and B, you need buy-in from those stakeholders if you're going to execute whatever ideas eventually you settle on. But that seeking and gathering of input from your stakeholders is not the same thing as being a democracy in product, as outsourcing, as just vote, everybody votes, everybody, you know, every department gets so many points, and you'll allocate resources on the in the roadmap according to voting, like we're doing with questions. This is good for the voting is good for addressing the questions being asked by this group of people right now, but it's not good for determining your product strategy. And I would say that that goes for internal stakeholders as well as customers. I'm really not a big fan of having your customers vote on features either, because most of your customers are probably small and are not responsible for the 80% of your revenue that 20% of them usually are, according to the Pareto rule. And secondly, that doesn't really leave you any room for strategy whatsoever. If you've been really successful in one market, but you've kind of tapped it out and you're looking to expand into another market, well, getting opinions from people who are either in the old market or whose job it is to serve the old market, your internal stakeholders, that's not going to help you with your strategy for entering into the new market. It's going to be a drag and a distraction. So I want you to go and get that feedback, but I want you to take it with a grain of salt, and I want you to make it clear to yourself and to your stakeholders that there is one person who's in charge of product strategy, not in an ivory tower by themselves, not listening to anyone, but there is one person in the end who decides what the product strategy is. I use something I call the advice process, which is for any given decision, someone, maybe it's me if I'm in charge of product, has the responsibility to make that decision. But I also have the responsibility to seek input from people who have valid opinions, information, ideas for inclusion. And I want to talk about those opinions and ideas in relation to the ultimate goals of what we're trying to accomplish. Like if we're going into a new market, then don't tell me that the reason you're advocating this idea is because it will be interesting to a different market. Well, okay, at some point we might do that, but it's a non-goal right now, so let's focus. So A, important, B, that's not the same thing as giving away your decision rights. And C, focused on goals, focused on what is the direction we're supposed to be heading in. I'll give one more tip on that, and that is when you're seeking input from stakeholders, don't do it in big groups. Don't have a meeting of the entire executive team and ask them all for their input at once. That's a recipe for politics, for them trying to impress each other by shooting down each other's ideas or your ideas or poking holes in your plan. Instead, meet with them one-on-one. Do what I call shuttle diplomacy and shuttle from one to the others. Take the politics out of it and have a collaborative discussion with each person in turn about what they think is important, which things are more likely to serve the ultimate goals that you're going after, and you can have a more frank discussion with without them trying to bluster with somebody else.